Hello and welcome to the championship round of the Grand Arena Season 16. Before we move on to my current opponent, a quick recap of the previous one. My opponent did not, unfortunately, ended up not attacking me. They did have Darth Revan, no Malik in their team last time, but there were no battles and no attempts against my team. So unfortunately, all the defense that I kept, I didn't get a chance to test out how it would have performed. So not much intel I could gather from there. I'm more excited about this matchup. We are matched up with Ray Rate 73 from France, from the guild Cartel Insurrection Grek. And my opponent is running Darth Revan and Darth Malik at Gear 6 in the arena, fully Zeta'd. And in general, the inventory is, they've got all the characters that I have. I think they're missing a couple, like they don't have range and spirit geared up, and they only have General Grievous at 6 stars. And for that reason, even Padme is at 6 stars, but with one Zeta. So most of the characters that I have, but missing a few key tunes. And overall, I have more Zetas than them and better mods as well. So it is sort of an underdog match for them. But they did reach out to me. Ray Ray did reach out to me yesterday and said that they follow my channel and they've been looking forward to this matchup. And I told them to set a good defense and make the matches interesting. So they are planning to attack me and they are planning to make things interesting. So I'm really looking forward to that. And from my conversation with Ray Ray, I could make out that they have a really good fighting spirit. So I'm planning to go all out on my defense as well as offense. So I was hoping to face Revan and Darth Malik on defense, but unfortunately Ray Ray did not keep Darth Revan on defense. I think they kept it on offense to try to take out my Darth Revan and Malik. The topic of this video was initially going to be how to take down Darth Revan, and I was going to talk about a couple of different approaches. But instead, now I'll probably focus on a slightly different topic since we don't have a Darth Revan to fight with. I'll instead talk about how to set a really tough defense without using up all of your meta teams, and also talk about how those kind of defenses will reduce the efficiency and banners of your opponent. And on the flip side, when I go to attack on offense, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to really use your teams to maximize efficiency in terms of banners on offense. Because a lot of times whenever the matches are equally matched up, you efficiency becomes so important, not only in defense but also in offense. So I'm going to give a few tips on how to get ahead on that. So let's go ahead and briefly review my defenses before we move on to offense. And I'm going to take a little bit of time to talk about the defense. So if you're interested in seeing the actual matchup of the Grand Arena on offense, feel free to skip ahead a few minutes and check out the offense session. But I'm going to spend a little time on defense itself. Now, obviously, if you have Darth Revan and Malik and your opponent also has them, and you want to set a tough defense, my suggestion would be to keep Darth Revan and Malik on defense. For this, it becomes a little tough because you want to be able to take out your opponent's Darth Revan with some decent certainty as well. And there have been a lot of videos come out in the last 2, 3 weeks which talk about a couple of different approaches to taking down Darth Revan. There's the GMY, JKR, and Thrawn method, where you fracture you first mark Darth Revan with a faster Jedi Knight Revan, fracture him, and then use Grandmaster Yoda to take him out. 2, 3 different versions of that team using Hermit Yoda, Bastilla, as well as Jolie, but all of them are basically the same approach. There's another one which has come out, which is basically using a Padme team. A couple of different versions of this as well, using R2, using C3PO, and then the other version is it's a two-shot method where you send in a weak team to reduce the burnouts and cooldowns, and then take in another meta team like CLS and JKR to burn them down. So unlike Jedi Knight Revan, which has got a lot of survivability, it is possible to whittle down a Darth Revan team. So you shouldn't be afraid to put your own Darth Revan on defense. Um, even if it means 2 3 battles, I strongly feel that you should be able to take out your opponent's Darth Revan, even if you don't have your own Darth Revan or Malak. Which is why I've kept my Darth Revan on defense over here. What I do is immediately after Grand Arena lock, I scout my all my 7 opponents, and I try to see how many of them have got Sith Empire, Malak, and I check their speeds and mods as well. And not only that, I also check the speeds on a few key tunes like Jedi Knight Revan, Hermit Yoda, Grandmaster Yoda, and Thrawn, because I want to know if based on the speeds that I have on my Sith Empire team, whether my opponent's Jedi Knight Revan and Grandmaster Yoda and Thrawn are able to take down my Jedi Knight Revan, my Darth Revan. So in this Grand Arena, for example, I saw that there were 3 people with Darth Revan. 2 of them had Malak, but none of them had Jedi Knight Revan, which matched the speed of my Darth Revan. So my Darth Revan was 323, and the fastest Jedi Knight Revan was, I believe, 370 something. So about 40 speed less than my Darth Revan. So there was no way that Jedi Knight Revan would have been able to outspeed my Darth Revan if they're using the Thrawn counter. So things like that, it's important to know. So what you can do is, if you know that you're going to completely outspeed all the Darth Revans in your league, you can do things like you can afford not to set up your Sith Trooper and set up another Sith Empire tune like Sith Marauder or Sith Assassin. Because if you know you're going to outspeed your other Darth Revans, then they're not going to be able to hit your Darth Revan with insanity. So that's number one. And secondly, uh, uh, fighting a Darth Revan team without a Darth Revan, it becomes really tough if they don't have Sith Trooper, especially if they're trying to use the Jedi Knight Revan Thrawn counter. You really won't be able to get your turn meter given to Grandmaster Yoda in order to basically get the counters done, because he's not going to be able to assist on Darth Revan. So in the case that you find that your Revan is the fastest, I would strongly suggest keeping another Sith Empire tune as the fifth instead of Sith Trooper. Um, the the other team that I wanted to talk about, so that's basically the Darth Revan team that I wanted to briefly mention, and then we have the second team that I've kept on defense is a Grievous team. A Grievous team is again another team. If you're going for an efficiency match, is better to keep on defense rather than offense. On offense, Grievous basically kills the droids on his team by little, by eliminating a little protection bit by bit every time it takes a turn. So it's very difficult to end with full protection on a Grievous team if you're using it on offense. But on the flip side, if you do have the unique Zeta on Grievous, on then it's a great candidate to keep on defense, just because every time the enemy takes out a droid of yours, Grievous is going to go use his AoE, take out protection, and hopefully be able to take out 1 or 2 toons from your opponent as well. So that's the benefit of keeping Grievous on defense. Now, the kind of characters that you usually want to keep on defense are high AoE characters or characters who can counter a lot, and that's the reason I've kept Dooku in here as well. He's just amazing under Grievous, and with his riposte new ability, he hits directly under health as well. So there's a chance for your opponents not only to end up with under full protection, but also under full health as well with Dooku in there. Long term, I'm planning to keep Newt instead of Droideka in there, just because Newt with the Zeta is an excellent addition to the Grievous team. B1 and B2 are, I would say, essential to Grievous, but I think Newt and Dooku would fit in really well, especially with Newt's Zeta. Droideka is also a great toon who I'm for farming up right now, but I probably will plan to keep Droideka on my JTR team, because Droideka under JTR is capable of doing really good things, like even taking out a Revan if you clock the speeds right. Speaking of JTR, the next team I've kept on defense is JTR. Now, usually I keep this team on offense, but what I've done is this time I've decided to keep it on defense, just because it's people really have a tough time fighting JTR if they are not able to use Night Sisters, which are a hard counter. And most people these days keep Night Sisters on defense, both in Grand Arena as well as TW. And not many people have had a lot of practice fighting these JTR teams, and they'll have a really tough time outspeeding some of these JTR teams, even if yours is mediocrely modded. My BB8 is not too fast, just 273, but because of the bonuses that they get, they're going to end up, my JTR, BB8, and R2 are going to end up going pretty early and probably outspeeding my opponent. So that is always going to give the defensive team an advantage. Plus, I have Holdo over here, a G11 Holdo, who's going to apply days and make things difficult for a lot of teams. And then we've got RT, who's going to end up getting a lot of expose turn meter on exposures and all that. So it's a tough team to take out on defense, um, especially if you outspeed your opponent. And there are not many teams which can counter it effectively unless you end up wasting a meta team. It requires either NS, Night Sisters, or a mirror team to take out. And usually, you would want to use your JTR against some of these other teams that you keep on defense. So that's always a good thing. And against the JTR team has got plenty of AOEs, plenty of counters, all of which are really good trademarks of a good defensive team because they end up taking up protection and health from your opponent. The next team I have is a Kira prepared team, and this is one of the teams that I had maxed a while back. These are the five characters who can both generate and utilize prepared, and I really enjoy keeping these five on defense together. I usually don't break these up. And then you have the cart team, which has become quite popular these days to keep on defense. I was talking to a guildmate of mine, and they were mentioning that the car team has actually become like the new Phoenix, which I actually agree with because just like the Phoenix, the car team are basically required characters for a legendary event, and so everybody has them farmed and geared and mostly Zeta'd. And you see that even in TWs, they are being kept at the back walls, just like Phoenix used to be kept at the beginning. And just like the Phoenix, there are a lot of they are a little tougher to take out just because they've got a lot of counters, AOEs, all of that. But there are a lot of easy counters coming out, just like after a while, Phoenix counters also started coming out. You have Ewoks who can counter the card team pretty easily. You've got crew first order who, if you control them properly, you can easily counter them. You've got Basti teams who have high tenacity and you can prevent dots from landing. EP as well, with all the stuns and turn meter generation, and with Tron Fracture, they can do a good job of controlling this team as well. And also weak Padme teams who really punish teams which use a lot of counter. Those kind of teams also are good counters to cards. So because of all of that stuff, it becomes if you keep a weak card team on defense, it can somehow be controlled and taken out. And the speeds on this team are usually not fast unless you keep a nest in there to go first and apply days. So a lot of people I've been seeing have been putting a nest in there just to prevent some of these cheap counters which rely on turn meter generation. What I've done is over here I've put Wampa in there to apply days and prevent some of the cheap counters like Ewoks and all of that. So what you can do is some of the teams where if you want to keep a good defense and you find that some of your team members are slow and you want to prevent cheap counters like Evox or Troopers or EP, you can put in a character like Nest or Wampa who applies AOE days, and that will help prevent some of these cheap counters. I have my Night Sister team, and as I've mentioned in previous videos, it's my second best modded team after the Sith Empire team. And I've modded them so that they can't be taken out by troopers. They're extremely fast, extremely tanky, high damage, high crit chance. And even if you take in a Sith Triumvirate against them, which is typically the counter for tough Night Sister teams, a Sarge lead makes it tough even for them. If they underestimate and go in with just the three Sith trio, Asajj lead has plenty of stuns, and if Talzin Plague lands and those stuns can't be dispelled, and under Asajj lead they'll have a lot of turn meter reduction as well, so it'll prevent them from taking turns, and it can make it a tough job for them. And there's always a potential to not only end with less protection but also with less health. even if you one shot these teams. So that's another reason why I really love keeping Night Sisters on defense, especially if you're playing an efficiency game. Keeping Night Sister on offense, they're a great offensive option. They can probably take out almost any meta team out there, but there's a very less chance of ending with full health and full protection, because these guys can recover health, but they can't recover full protection. So that's always a challenge with Night Sisters, which is why I've been leaning towards keeping them on defense in Grand Arena. And then the final team that I have over here, I wanted to save the rest of my teams on offense, the rest of my meta teams. I didn't want to keep any other meta teams on defense, so I had to come up with another team which can't be cheaply countered. And what I came up with was this is a version of the hide the acolyte concept that we have from 3v3 Grand Arena, where you had Daka Zombie and an Acolyte, and Acolyte would go under stealth and snipe from there, and Daka and Zombie would basically help to keep Acolyte under stealth and prevent her from getting targeted. And those kind of teams would be difficult to take out unless you get a dispel or a large AOE. That's a similar concept that I have over here. I've kept Akbar lead to give speed to Leia. Leia is effectively 280 speed after Akbar lead so that she goes first, gets into stealth. Acolyte, whenever she gets a turn, she will use her special or basic and get into stealth whenever she uses a basic. And uh, Nest is the one who's going to remain behind and act as the zombie or the undying tank. So even if your Akbar and your Captain Han Solo get taken out, as most likely will be the case, you'll have Nest who will be doing the tanking, and it'll take a little while for the opponent to get Nest down, while you have Acolyte and Leia sniping from under stealth. And once these guys go under stealth, it's very difficult for them to come out of stealth unless you have a dispel like Scion or Asajj, who are really good characters to use in really good teams. And you can't really use Ewoks, who's we've got Logray with the dispel and daze as well. You can't really use Ewoks against this team because they've got Nest in there, and you really don't want to use Ewoks against Nest. You won't be able to do enough damage to take her down. So this is another team where I wanted to get in something which can't be easily countered by troopers or Ewoks, and it will still require a reasonably medium to meta team to take out. So even if it gets one shot, it'll at least take a tough team for it to be taken out. And you've got a couple of sources of days over here as well, which helps. You've got obviously Nest, and I've got a fast Nest at 286 speed, who's going to go and apply days right at the beginning, and uh, and then you have Captain Han Solo uh, who applies days on basic as well. So they would need to bring in a dispel, healing immunity, buff immunity, or maybe even really large AOEs to really take down this team. So that's basically the the logic behind that team. So that's my defense. So again, just to recap, general strategy is I never keep teams which can be countered cheaply with Evox or troopers. If you notice over here, I've kept three characters with AoE days in my teams. There's Holdo, there's Wampa, and there's Nest, and that always makes it difficult for turn meter based counters to really have an effect on your teams. So there's tons of AOEs in my teams, tons of counter-based teams, and all with the primary purpose of reducing enemy banners. So that's if you're playing an efficiency game, the main goal is how do you make your opponent lose points on banners, both protection and health. So get characters who can hit AOEs, counter, and who can hit under health, like your Dooku or Sith Trooper or Savage or Sith Assassin, and characters like that. Talzin and Night Sisters are very good in doing that as well. So that's the general concept behind the character defense. Let me move over to talk a little bit about ships. So, on ships, usually these days, since almost everyone has Millennium Falcon, you the general strategy is to keep Millennium Falcon on offense because it can take down any team in one shot. So you really can't expect any of your fleet sections to hold more than one battle. um, you can expect it to get one shot. The most that you can expect from your fleet is that your opponent is inefficient in taking out your ships, and they lose at least 4 or 5 banners. And the one team which is really great in doing that is the Mace Timeout team. In my previous video, one of the people who watched it commented that they wanted to know a little bit more about the Mace Timeout team. So I'll talk briefly about that. So the Mace Timeout team is it's basically a Mace-led Galactic Republic team with bounty hunters and Galactic Republic ships. And uh, uh, the main strategy behind this was, before Millennium Falcon came out, Bosk, the Houndstooth, was a really, really deadly ship under Mace, just because, uh, you know, um, uh, Mace could give it taunt, and the other Galactic Republic ships which should give taunt to Bosk. There was a lot of protection recovery. There was a lot of crit immunity which can be given to Bosk, and due to the lack of dispel, it made that ship really tough to take out. And in general, Galactic Republic has a lot of survivability and no damage. I mean, you've got plenty before Anakin came out. There was plenty of survivability in there, the protection recovery and all of that. But and once Anakin's ship came out, and the concept of valor, which was introduced there, the offense of the Galactic Republic ships really got boosted up. So that really improved the viability of Galactic Republic. And you had Xanadu Blood too, who would also apply a breach on the enemy and keep the taunt, help to keep the taunt on Houndstooth. And then you had your Anakin's ship, which would come in after reinforcement, tons of AoE over there, tons of expose, and in general, the battles would last for a long time. Now, Millennium Falcon came in and ruined that meta because Millennium Falcon had dispelled on basic. So all the buffs that the Galactic Republic relied on, the taunt, crit immunity, valor, protection up, on both the Houndstooth as well as Jedi Knight Anakin. All of that stuff was destroyed by Millennium Falcon. So that's the reason this team is it's quite popular to keep this team on defense both in territory wars as well as galactic as well like Grand Arena, just because since your opponent will be using Millennium Falcon on offense to take this out. If for some reason it's decide to keep Millennium Falcon on defense, this team, the Mace Timeout team, is really tough to take out with any other team apart from Millennium Falcon, and you might end up losing banners or even losing a match if you are not familiar with how to fight this team. So yeah, so that's basically the Mace Timeout team. Now, my opponent hasn't attacked my character section, but they did take out my ship section, and they did keep their Millennium Falcon on offense, and um, they got 943 points. So if you subtract 730 from there and the points that you get from conquering the section, you can calculate that my opponent got about 58 banners in taking out the ships out of a total of 66 banners. So they lost about 8 banners in trying to take out this timeout fleet with the Millennium Falcon. So that's an 8 point benefit that I get. So if I end close to 64, 65 banners, that's going to give me an advantage in that's going to give me at least a 5, 6 point advantage just in the ship section. So that's basically the advantage of the timeout fleet. So since I've just talked about that, let me just go ahead and finish the fleet battle with my own rebel fleet. Another popular team character which is used in the Mace Timeout team um, is uh, Vader, just because of the target lock synergy that is there in with the Mace Timeout team. Vader is really a great option to plug into that team. But I really haven't kept Vader on defense so far. Maybe I should start thinking about that. All right, let's go in with the. So this is a team I usually take in on offense. I have my starting is Biston, Millennium Falcon, and Biggs, and then I have Phoenix, the Phoenix ship which comes in, which is the Phantom 2, so that I can immediately call another ship to come in and get some damage. Most likely, if there's only one or two ships left, I sometimes get in Cassian before the Phoenix, and uh, and just dispel and try to finish it off because Cassian has got an assist. In case the battle lasts long, then I've got Lando's Millennium Falcon and Poe as a finisher to finish the job. I never go in with an empty slot because as long as you are able to finish the battle without calling in all the ships, you still get the full points for the empty slot. So you really don't need to go in with an empty slot and risk losing the battle in ships. So let's go ahead and attack ships, and hopefully we can end with a decent amount of banners. All right. So um, my opponent. So that's the reason that my opponent has really kept these good teams, fast ships on offense, because they usually tend to, uh, you know, um, they usually tend to go before the Millennium Falcon fleet and help to take out some protection and health, like what happened over here. I don't know if we'll be able to recover all the protection and health, but let's see if that happens. So maybe I can use. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to finish this battle in as few moves as possible. So I'm going to target the TIE fighter pilot and do an AoE, which should hopefully take out the other ship as well. Okay, now this one got healed. And let's see if we can take this out. Okay, so we lost a little bit of protection, but that's fine. So you just lost protection on two toons and maybe a little bit health on Biston. So we probably might lose three banners, um, which is fine. I think I can live with that. Um, if you really wanted to uh, end with full health and full protection, I could have used the healing ability of Akbar on Biston and ended up with one more banner, but I just wanted to finish it off. Didn't want to risk getting another reinforcement in. And the reason I got Poe is because TIE Fighter pilot has got a lot of dodge and evasion, and Poe has got an unavoidable perfect shot. So he's a great finisher. I used him a lot of times to finish battles. So it looks like we only ended up with I think we ended up with full protection on Big, so only lost health and protection on Biston. 64 banners is a good start, which is a full six banners more than what my opponent got in ships. So we're off to a good start. And my opponent is pretty good. I saw his roster, the way he's modded his tunes, and the kind of characters that he has. He does know what he's doing, and um, he can play the game well, I'm sure. So um, I'm going to have to be on my toes and make sure that I end with uh, with good efficiency. Now, before I go on to attack his character section, I wanted to talk a little bit about efficiency. And the goal over here is maximizing protection. And I'm going to share a chart that I had created a couple of grand arenas ago, and I think it might be a good time for a refresher. But let me go ahead and pull that chart up. All right. So this is something that I'd created a while back when Grand Arena first came out, and what it is basically it just tells you the amount of points that you get in for a first attempt win, second attempt win, and winning after more than two attempts by taking in a certain number of team members. So by taking in five characters, four characters, three, two, and one, the number of points that you will get if you end with full health and full protection. So as you know, if you end with full health and full protection with a five-member team, you get 60 points if it's a first attempt win. Second attempt win, you get 40 points, and third attempt win, third and more, you get 30 points. So there's a 20-point gap between a first attempt and second attempt win, and a 10-point gap between a second and third. So it's always advisable to win on the first attempt, even if you have to take in five characters and do overkill. That 20-point difference is too much to make up otherwise if your opponent decides to one shot everything. So it's always advisable to end in the first attempt with full health and full protection. And as you can see over here, the incremental benefit of taking in lesser number of people is not that much. It's only 1 point more. So if you take in four people instead of five and end with full health and full protection, you get 61 points. Three, you get 62, two, you get 63, and one, you get 64. And it's really rare to do it unless it's a really cheap cheese team that the opponent has set. It's really rare to go in with one and end with 64. Even if you go in with Wampa or Nest solo, you will end up losing at least protection. So you'll end up getting 63 points at the least. So the difference is not really much if you decide to go undermanned. And the only time that I go undermanned is my opponent has set a really cheap team, and I can get maybe 2 or 3 points more than 60. But if you decide to go in with 4 characters, for example, and even if you lose your protection on one character, you end up getting 60 points instead of 61, which is the same as going in with a full squad and ending with full health and full protection. So I would rather take in a trooper team and end with full health and full protection with a guaranteed 60 points, then go undersized with a 4 member team and risk losing one character or losing health or protection on more than one character and ending up with less than 60 points. So that's the trade-off that you have to make when you're deciding to go undersized or not. And similarly, when you have a second attempt win, I almost always go with a full 5 characters, because the incremental benefit of going with 1 or 2 characters is just you get just 43 or 44 points, as opposed to a full 60 if you had overkilled and gone right in the first attempt itself. So that's basically the message that I'm trying to convey with this chart over here. All right, let's go back to the battle and start our offense. All right. So one thing you may have noticed that in my defense, I have apart from my Night Sister team and my Darth Revan team, I really haven't kept any of my other meta teams. I've kept all my good meta teams on offense. So that's Jedi Knight Revan. I've kept CLS. I've kept the Triumvirate. Um, and I've also kept my Padme team on offense. These are all the really good meta teams which can take out almost any other team. In addition, I also have EP, Ewoks, Troopers, and I've kept 2 teams which are usually seen on defense, which is Crew and Bounty Hunters. Now, both these teams, Crew and Boss-led Bounty Hunters, are really great at protection recovery, and that's the reason why in an efficiency game, I usually always try to keep those 2 teams on offense, just because it's way easier to get full 60 banners with those 2 teams. So I'm going to start my attack, and I'm going to go against the bounty hunter team first, with my troopers. Now these look to be relatively weak. I have Zam over here, who's modded for some health and not much protection, 20k each. There's going to be a 20k, 50% bump up to protection because of boss lead, but I think Zam should be easy enough to take out first, and that should get the trooper turn meter train rolling. So let's go against that with troopers first. Troopers are a really good team to get full 60 banners with, especially if you have range trooper. So if you haven't started farming range trooper, highly suggest that you do that. It's a really good character to have on the trooper team. Completely transforms the faction. All right, I'm going to give buffs up to everyone, and then hopefully we can get rid of Zam. There. Now we are going to go after Boba. I think he's got less health and less protection. Increase the cooldown so boss doesn't taunt. Kill Boba again. Now we go after Greedo. Boss won't taunt, but we should be able to get our death mark here soon enough. Lost some protection on Weirs or Stark, but hopefully we should get it back. No, we missed one banner. That's fine. It's um, it's sometimes expected to lose one banner with this team, which is okay. So troopers are again one of the primary teams that you should go for when you're going in an efficiency game, and that's the reason why if you're setting a defense when you're playing for efficiency, try to make all your teams trooper proof, so that you don't give that same advantage to your opponents. All right, what should we target next? So I'm going to go for this. Let's see. I'll probably try my. The Ewoks are weak. I don't have my Wampa or Nest. Otherwise, those are usually good characters to take out the Ewoks. But just like I plan to use my Jedi Knight Revan against the toughest team over here, which is the Night Sister team, because It's difficult to end with full health and full protection with anyone against Night Sister team apart from Jedi Knight Revan and maybe the Sith trio if you go in undersized just with the three of them. You can end with like 59 points or so, but I'll probably use my Jedi Knight Revan against that, which leaves my Sith trio free for using against the Ewoks. It is overkill, but I've got plenty left, so I'm not really worried about that. So let me take Sith trio. Probably Scion himself um, can solo this, but the good thing is Ewoks take so many turns that under Darth Traya lead, they end up losing offense as well as losing a lot of health. 35% of the max health every time that they attack out of turn. So they'll kill themselves, and we should end with at least 59 to 60 banners. So just like the troopers and Ewoks, Sith Trio is actually another good team to take undersized and end with full health and full protection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to um, put the isolate on Paplu and give protection up um, to Nihilus because it's easier for Scion to recover protection just because of his special. He can get some protection back, but it's more difficult for Nihilus to recover protection. So and Treya already gains bonus protection whenever the others are debuffed, so easy to keep her under full protection. Okay, let's get rid of Ewok Elder almost. Now you can see these guys are killing themselves just because of all the assists. Okay, let's get rid of Ewok Elder. So it's good that they're attacking Scion because that means that I can always recover protection on him. And even if I don't, um, I'll at least end with just 1 point detriment. All right, let's finish this guy off. And I think I've got full protection on everyone except a little bit on Nihilus and a little bit on Scion. So I'm going to use this special, which recovers 35% protection. It won't completely, it won't completely recover its protection, but it's worth a shot. All right. So 61 banners. So if you remember the chart, going in with three people, 60, 61, 62. Um, I would have ended up with 62 banners if I'd ended with full health and full protection, going in with three people. But here, because I lost protection on one unit, which is Scion, I ended up with 61 points. So not that much benefit, just 1 point more than if I'd gone with a trooper team and ended with the full health and full protection against the Ewoks, I would have got 60 banners, which is just one less. So it's not that big a deal going in with undersized party and getting one of them with protection less. So unfortunately, I just have one trooper team. If I had like two or three of them, I could have used them against multiple teams over here. But you have to go in with undersized parties if you want to get like one or two banners over. So my average is, I believe I got 59 with this and 61 here. So my average is 60 so far. So far we've been doing good in the efficiency game. Now, let's see what else we can take. I can use my crew against the Jin team. Crew, like I mentioned, is another great character to end with full health and full protection just because of all the protection recovery. And crew is great to use against characters like bounty hunters or bays or L3 where you need to stun one character and keep them a pre-taunting character and keep them out of action for a long time. Crew is great against that. So I can go in undersized. First order officer is weak and really not that effective. but the only benefit is I might get one additional point. It's really not worth it, risking the other characters. So I'm just going to go in with the full team over here. All right. So I'm going to stun base and give uh, this to Kylo Ren and let him get some turn meter and target Jin to take down. Okay, I'm gonna just try to take her down. Okay, Jin is down, so no more revives. Now we can go after Cassian. He's the next biggest damage dealer. He's out. And let's stun base again, just because he's got AoE and counter as well. So you want to avoid all of that. Now, one thing is you should always, when you're trying to go for efficiency, you should always keep an eye on which characters have got less health and less protection. And then try to give the marching orders to them, because when this guy gives marching orders, they grant them tenacity up and they grant them offense up and advantage. So that's an automatic 10% protection recovery. In this case, all my characters have full protection recovery, so I'm just going to give it to this guy to give turn meter to everyone. All right. Now I'm going to attack Baze while he's stunned, so that because if I attack this guy, Chirrut, he's going to end up countering. Or maybe I should have used basic with Baze. That was a mistake. All right. So you can see over here, let's stun this guy and control him. So you can see over here, the only character without full protection is First Order Stormtrooper. And and yeah, so I need to think of ways to give him protection up. So this is what I meant. So if I give marching orders to First Order Stormtroopers, since everyone else is at full health and full protection, that's going to end up healing him and giving him full health and full protection. The second way that he can get full health and full protection is by taunting, where he gets advantage and taunt, and that's another 10% protection and health recovery. So there you go. Now all my characters are at full health and full protection, and I end the match with the 60 banners. So really easy to do with the first order, as long as you know the team that you're going against and really control the characters which can counter or do AOE. So that's the way in which I approach first order, and that's the reason why I had first order for offense instead of keeping them on defense. All right, so we have got four teams. We still have our CLS team, Bounty Hunter team, and Jedi Knight Revan team, and a Basti team. So we can we can probably use the Basti team against, or let's get rid of the CLS team. Let's get rid of the Karth team using CLS, and then we can go for some of these others. Let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, so let's go to the Karth team. I'll use my CLS over here. And the CLS team doesn't have much protection and recovery. There is a little bit that Chewbacca gives to anyone who's prepared, which is going to be Luke and Han if they're prepared. Um, and so what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to take in Thrawn with these guys, just because I don't think I'll need Thrawn anywhere else. Thrawn is going to be able to fracture Zalbar and prevent his AoE and all the counters that come with him in mission, as well as top up protection from Luke or Han if they fall under. I'm not sure if my Thrawn is going to get guard or not, but it's got about 63k health and protection, and CLS has, yeah, a little lesser. All right. So this should do the job. All right, so my CLS has got guard, which is great, which is what I wanted. Um, Let me try to target mission and finish her off. I'm going to fracture Zalbar so that he doesn't get any. Okay, so that's another good thing about these guys is that AoEs typically tend to finish them off. She's going to taunt, so I'm going to go and stun this one and hopefully finish him off. Okay, so she's taunting, so I'm going to keep working on Zalbar. And does anyone need topping up? Not yet. So I'm going to save my top up for later. I'm going to stun this guy. There you go. See that the counters kill them off. So CLS is another great team to use when you're facing a team with counters. So this is unfortunate. I didn't get a chance to top up with Thrawn. So it looks like I'm going to end up with 60 banners. 61 if I'd got full protection, full health on everyone, but one less for Thrawn. So 60 banners. I should have topped up with Thrawn when I had the chance. So that's fine. We are still, I think, averaging about 60 banners so far. 59, 61, 60, 60. Yeah. All right. So now, what else do we have left? We have our crew team, which I'll take the Basti against. I have got my Night Sister team, which I'll take Jedi Knight Revan against. And I've got uh, the Kira team, which I'll take Bounty Hunters against. Let's do the Bounty Hunter one first, since you've got two characters in my Bounty Hunter team which can execute around taunt, and I need to execute Vandor and these other guys are weak as well. So we can ignore L3 pretty easily with a Bounty Hunter team. All right, so let's go in with a full Bounty Hunter team. Yep, this is a favorite team that I have. Lots of thermals, lots of protection recovery. Again, I'm not going in undersized over here because the benefit is not that much. I would rather guarantee a full win. So I'm going to taunt over here and apply ability block and then try to stun her. She'll probably dispel because anytime you attack her, she ends up dispelling. I'm going to go for Vandor. And let's apply some burning. All right, so you can see we've got lost protection on a lot of them, but I can easily heal with that with just applying debuffs on from my team. All right, so let's see if we can't execute Vandor. There we go. There we go. Plenty of healing, and let's get rid of L3 so that we don't have to deal with her. And let's go with Django. All right, so Django is almost out. See, that's the reason I wanted to get rid of Django, because he ended up taking out full protection from Zam. So I'm going to put some debuffs out there and try to recover as much as I can. But I don't think I'll be able to recover. Yeah, so probably lose a little bit of protection on Zam, but others I think should be fine. I think I lost a little bit of Dengar as well. So 58, not the perfect outcome, but yeah, what you want to do in these teams is target those characters which have healing immunity or which can apply AoE, which can apply AoEs and finish them off first. Okay, so we just have our Jedi Knight Revan team and our Basti team, and we can use that to take these out. Now you'll notice that I'm not using my Padme on offense, and even though Padme is a great team on offense, the problem with them in an efficiency game is they recover health, plenty of ways to recover health, but there's really no way to recover protection in a Padme team. So there's a high chance that you'll end up with 55 banners using Padme on offense. So whenever you can use teams which can recover full protection, like uh, like Padme or crew, or like crew or bounty hunter, or troopers, use those instead of teams like Padme, which can't recover protection, or Night Sisters or EP. If they don't have Thrawn, EP also has got very limited ways of recovering protection. Even Ewoks, even if all of them are Zeta'd, it takes they recover protection in small increments, so it takes a large amount of time for them to recover to full health and full protection, unless you never give your enemy turn. So that's why in an efficiency match, Night Sisters, and I should have probably saved Padme also on defense, just because they're less useful on offense in an efficiency game. So I'm going to go and use my Jedi Knight Revan versus the sisters, and I'm going to use these three are the core in a Jedi Knight Revan team, and since I'm not using Padme, I'm going to use Jedi Knight Anakin against sisters. His AoE is great against sisters, and he applies buff immunity, which is great for zombie, and healing immunity, which is great for Nest. So, and I think I'm just going to go in undersized. I don't think the others I'm planning to save for my for the other team. Okay, so let's who should we target now? Let's take out Asajj, Talzin, because she hits hard, and this particular one is modded really hard. Now in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow them to kill Jedi Knight Anakin, just so that Travius Savior triggers and he ends up with full health and full protection. Um, so I'm going to finish off uh, Talzin. So I'm not going to heal Anakin yet. I want him to die with there. So now Savior is triggered. Let me, now I can start, now I can start trying to aim for full health and full protection. Let's pass it back to Jolie, revive him, give himself some protection. And that almost took it out. Okay, so I'm going to just target these guys and see if I can't. I should have probably targeted Daka to take out. But this gives me some time to recover some protection, so that's great. So I'm going to start assisting with all the characters who've got less health and less protection. And hopefully recover some. Probably won't be able to recover on all. I was hoping to delay a little bit, but ended up losing 3 banners, which is not ideal. But it's very difficult to end up with full banners against Night Sisters, which is why they're so popular on defense. Even if I'd taken my Sith trio with 1 or 2 characters, I would have got 55 banners because they wouldn't have been able to recover protection. Maybe I should have saved my Thrawn to use in this team to add a little protection back. But anyway, that's fine. Um, and then the final team that I want to demonstrate is the Basti team, which I think is the absolute easiest team to end with full protection and full health. And the Basti team, as you know, the Basti lead uh, has a ton of protection, 200% protection that has to be chewed through. So that is that is always a great thing. And I'm just going to go in with full size so that I guarantee a 60 points. And with a healer like Hermit Yoda in there, you are always topping up the bonus protection up, and it's difficult for the enemy to really chew through that bonus protection. So it's almost a guarantee 60 banner win. If you can afford to pull Basti away from your Jedi Knight Revan team, I would highly recommend running her separately like this. I really don't need, I probably only need four of them, but yeah, the ability block from Obi-Wan Kenobi is helpful to prevent the double stun from crew. So that's the only reason I'm using it. Um, because crew can put one of your characters under out of action pretty soon. So I'm going to give this to Ezra, and let's see if he can't get rid of Fox. Okay, let's pass this on to Ezra, and then get rid of Fox, and then reduce turn meter. Yeah, I should have probably gone with someone with one character less. Maybe GK was not needed here. Okay, let's land a stun over here because he'll do his AoE otherwise. Little heal. And let's finish off this guy. So he only got to go once and wasn't able to chew through the bonus protection. There, that's the stun I was talking about. So let me top up everyone a little bit. All right, and now we should be able to finish this off. So I ended with 60 banners. I could have gone in with less and got 61, 62, but that's fine. So on average, I think I did about 59 to 60 banners. I think I got 60 on average with everyone except for the Night Sister team where I got 57. So overall, pretty decent efficiency. 1694. Lost a couple of points on ships and about three or four on the character section. So this is probably as good as you can get with facing a decently tough defense. Um, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to win this because just because it's going to be difficult taking out the Darth Revan team with a 59 efficiency. Um, in fact, I don't even think my opponent will be able to one-shot it, given the speed difference that is there between his Jedi Knight Revan team and my Darth Revan team. So I'm not too worried about the outcome of this match. But I just basically wanted to demonstrate the concept of efficiency in Grand Arena, and it is refreshing because after a long time I'm facing an opponent um, who's a little serious and has got decent characters. I've been getting a few weak opponents throughout, and it's not been very satisfying. So I had a ton of fun in this Grand Arena. Hopefully, the next session I'll have some good opponents as well, and I'll get to try out some interesting offense. So that was it for this Grand Arena. So yep, that's basically the concept of setting good defenses and efficiency. I have I'm really keen on seeing if you guys are streaming your Grand Arenas. Let me know in the comments, and I'm really keen on checking those out as well. It's I recognize that it's a tough job to stream a Grand Arena, since you're putting your video out there, you're putting yourself out there, you're leaving yourself open to criticism, and it's a tough job. And hats off to all the guys who are doing that, whether you've got 10K subscribers or whether you've got 10 subscribers. It's a tough job to record your Grand Arena and put it out there. And so let me know if in the comments section, if you're streaming a Grand Arena. I'll go ahead and I'll subscribe to your channel, and watch what videos I can. And yep, so that's basically it. um, I also want to recommend a couple of other channels that I follow in Grand Arena, and these guys have been streaming as long as I have. There's Klesso and there's Indigo. These two guys, and most of the guys who follow me on Grand Arena, I'm sure you also must be subscribed to these two. They're really good. They face good opponents. Unlike me, they're about 300, 400k GP higher, and they face some tough opponents. So their matches are really interesting. So I'm sure you'll enjoy their videos quite a lot too. So, and they've got a style very similar to mine, where they talk about the mechanics and they explain stuff and they go along. So if you like the kind of videos that I do, I'm sure you'll enjoy both Klesso's and Indigo's videos as well. So go ahead and I'll leave a link down below to their channels. Go ahead and subscribe to them and take a look at their videos. Um, and yeah, what I'll do is every Grand Arena, I'll at the end of it, I'll probably make a suggestion for a channel that I usually follow in Grand Arena, and I'll give you I'll leave the link down below. So that's the reason I was saying, if you stream Grand Arena, let me know in the comments, and I can follow you and maybe mention you a little later in one of my other streams. All right, so that's it for this season of Grand Arena. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will catch you guys in the next season. See you later.